Everybody, so assignment one has been uploaded, and I hope that you have an opportunity to have a look at assignment one. It is due at the end of the month. So what I want to do is I want to take you through a quick recording, just highlighting the important stuff that needs to be covered for the assessment. What I do need to let you know upfront is that this is just a guideline, and it provides some of the detail that is needed as groundwork as to where you need to start. However, because of the module's nature being practical, it means that you have to take the information that is given during this short recording and then start to apply it. So this is your first assignment for business management, and I want to outline key elements that need to be considered. So the first thing is that you need to look at the instructions on your cover page and make sure that you follow that correctly. So no material can be copied from original sources, which you know, even if you reference it correctly, you have to make sure that you paraphrase correctly. You give credit where it's due, you in-text reference, and you include a full reference page. You can use direct quotes, but you have to keep it to no more than 10% of the assignment. And due to the nature of your assignment being very practical, there isn't really a need for many direct quotes. Okay. Once you've done with your assignment, you need to submit it through Turnitin. I just have to let you know that Turnitin does have an AI detection software that is visible to me, not to you. So please be mindful of AI when you are doing your assignment, right? So when you're compiling it, we're not saying don't use AI, but use it ethically. Please save a copy of your assignment before you submit onto ARC, just in case something happens. At least you have a copy with you. Assignments must be typed. So this assignment must be typed. All diagrams must be created using an online platform. Okay, make sure that your work is adequately and correctly referenced and that this is an individual assignment. Okay, just general structure. There is no sort of strict format, but you must make sure that you have your cover page, which has your name, your surname, your student number, the module name, the code, indicate that's assignment one, and please just put my name as your lecturer on that cover page. You need to include a contents page, but obviously with corresponding page numbers, okay? So don't have a contents page, but then your actual assignment doesn't have page numbers at the bottom or on the top or wherever it is. You must show page numbers. Follow the exact numbering as the assessment and start each question on a new page. So please don't mix up the numbering because we mark according to the assessment numbering. Paraphrase, in-text reference, and include a full reference page. Be mindful of your Turnitin score to determine if you adequately paraphrase. So we don't really focus on, let me phrase this correctly. If you have a low score and you see that it is picking up headings, names, that type of thing, you're fine. If you pick up a score that is high, then you need to go back and look at it to see if you've paraphrased. Okay. Should you use any AI tools, please ensure that it's done ethically and that academic integrity is adhered to at all times. So, an ethical way of using it is perhaps taking your answer and a question and popping it into whichever AI tool and asking it to evaluate for you. You can put in a question and ask for flow or a structure of an answer. Unethical use is copying directly from AI into your assignment. It's taking work that you haven't read, using references that AI has given you without verifying and checking and reading. Okay? So if you are struggling with ethical AI use, please reach out. Your library has information specialists that are able to assist you. You can reach out to me and I'll guide you. But just make sure that you are adhering to academic integrity. Right? We do use the Anglia Harvard referencing format. Familiarize yourself with IIE 023, and I've uploaded a copy of our policy into assignment one folder for you. Be mindful of the reference referencing rubric on your assignment. It will tell you what you can be penalized for, but I want you to use it so that you meet all the goals of that rubric, right? So in-text reference correctly, your reference page must be complete. Um, make sure that you are referencing adequate information. So we're using stats or you're paraphrasing an idea. Make sure that you are in-text referencing. And then obviously, please reach out if you need. What I have done for you is I've just included some examples of types of in-text referencing for you. So if you have one author, two authors, and so on. And then if you, so whatever you use in your in-text, an example of a full referencing list. You can use tools to do this for you. You don't have to manually reference anymore. But please make sure that if you are doing that, you check it, that it must be correct. It must align with Anglia Harvard. Let's get into your assignment. Question 1 is you are a resident of a fast-growing semi-urban community near Zimbabwe. Community faces a transport problem. There is no reliable, safe, and affordable shuttle service connecting the area to the nearby industrial parks, major shopping centers, and the central business district. Existing transport is often overcrowded, unsafe, and operates on inconsistent schedules, making it difficult for residents to get to work, school, and healthcare facilities on time. Inspired by your own daily struggles and hearing similar stories from neighbors, you decided to explore launching a community-focused shuttle bus service. You can decide to call the venture Indlela Yethu Community Shuttle. We envisioned a service that uses smaller, more fuel-efficient vehicles, operates on fixed published schedules, and can be booked via a simple mobile. We want this business to be trusted service that empowers the community by providing reliable mobility and creating local employment. Drawing from your studies, you must now plan this venture. So question 1 asks you to create a diagram applying the entrepreneurial process to the case study. Okay. For this question, you're going to read over Learning Unit 2. Okay. You're going to use a diagram and you're going to now plot it with examples from the case study. Okay. And I'll show you how we're going to do that. So here's the diagram, right? And you see this is the theory. You're going to get no marks if you just put this into your assignment, right? You're going to have to say, right, step 1, idea generation, evaluation of opportunities, writing out the business plan, identification of resources, formulation and management of the business, growth and harvest. Each step, firstly, list the step, explain what it means in terms of theory, and then link it to the case study. So what must the business do? How does it apply to them? So step 1, idea generation. Okay, you go back to the case study and you say, right, this is the problem, and this is this is the solution to the problem. So idea generation was to create the shuttle service. So it's basically applying the diagram to the case study. You have to see that element of application. Okay. If you look at the next one, evaluation of opportunities. Look at the case study. What is it telling you? Where's the limitations? Where's the opportunities to grow? All right. And you're going to do that for each. 1.2 says apply the 4 elements of business to the shuttle service. First, define each element in your own words as it relates to the business. Then briefly explain how the fourth industrial revolution technology will change or improve each element in the shuttle service. Please avoid generic statements and focus on tangible impacts for your specific transport service. All right, now you're going to have an idea that you wanted to generate, remember? Okay, and you're going to show us that in the entrepreneurial process. So following through with that, we're going to use the 4 elements, okay? And it's human to human activities, goods and services, profit and concept of exchange. And you are going to tell us, firstly, what are they? In your own words, explain how incorporating technology will change or improve the shuttle service. I'm going to give you an example, and this will obviously change. Human to human activities. So for your shuttle service, people can book online using a platform. They can pay using a card service. Fourth industrial revolution, but it's practical to elements. What we are showing you is that the foundation of the elements stay the same. But as time evolves, how does that affect? 1.3 says define, and 1.2, you're going to read over learning unit 1. 1.3, develop a vision statement and a mission statement for ILETA Year 2. Then explain how each statement meets the characteristics of an effective vision and mission statement. And here you're going to read over learning unit 3. Okay, so this is what a vision and mission statement should entail. You're going to create one for your business, and this is going to be your vision and mission. So there shouldn't be any incorrect answers if you apply it to what a correct vision and mission statement should be. So vision is where we want to be, mission is the roadmap there. Okay. Once you've written it and you've developed it, then you must now go back to the vision and mission statement in Learning Unit 3. Look at what makes up a good vision and mission statement, and then compare what you've done to that. Does it meet those needs or that criteria? 1.4 is compare the advantages and disadvantages of operating in Learner Year 2 as a sole proprietorship and as a partnership. Based on the comparison, advise which business structure would most suitable for the business and justify your recommendation. First, you're going to please read over Learning Unit 3. Okay, here's advantages and disadvantages. You're going to now use this and link it to your business. So you must really apply it. So the advantages is it's easy to establish. Is this easy? Is it relevant to the case study? Would it be better to get assistance with capital? So maybe not really a sole proprietor, but maybe a partnership would be better. So you're going to use these advantages and disadvantages and apply to the case study, sort of evaluating what are the advantages, what are the disadvantages, and how is this relevant to the case study? Which one would be better for me to select? Let's choose a real, well-documented South African or African company. Please highlight this. Must be South African or African. Analyze the external business environment in 2025. So make sure that you are now looking at up-to-date information, and you've got to consider both market and macro factors. Then write a reflection under 250 words explaining why you chose this company and identify what you see as the main opportunity and threat. So two things to consider here. Okay. And you're going to look for the integrated annual reports, news articles that are relevant, any bank statements or profit and loss statements, any statistics, industry specific publications. So it doesn't only have to be journals and books. This is now looking at the news. Okay. This is not a made up company, it's real. So you're going to look at the business environment. Okay. And this is the external. We're not looking at the first part of it. We're looking at market and macro factors. And you're going to evaluate this for a business that you chose. So, for instance, if you chose, let's just say a company that deals in retail, you're going to think about the market factors, which would be consumers, would be people purchasing products that you make, who would be your competitors. So if you chose the food industry or groceries, then it would be Pick and Pay, Spar, Checkers, that type of thing. And you're going to do that for each factor. Once you have done that, you're then going to write a reflection. So your reflection is how you feel. So why did you choose this business? And after doing this complete analysis. What is the main threat and opportunity for them? Remember, threats and opportunities are external to the business. Okay, so you're going to look at the external environment and identify that. And three is sort of you have to identify or choose to create, you have to choose a platform to create an infographic that shows the different managerial skills required at top, middle, and lower management with examples from your chosen industry. And then in addition to that, you need to write a summary of about 300 words explaining how you created the infographic, how you conducted your research, and your reflections on the advantages and limitations of the tool that you used. But in that 300 words, it's really your experience. You know, what sources did you go and access to get your information? What tools did you use to create an infographic? You know, an infographic is a picture, right? It gives you information in a short sort of diagram or picture. And what were the tools? Was it easy to use? Did you use Canva, for example? The difficulties that you experienced, would you use it again? So really 300 words, your own reflection. In terms of the levels of management, it's your top management, middle management, and lower management. And then remember, they all use different levels of skills. So conceptual skills is that thinking skills, that ability to formulate goals and objectives. The personal skills is the way we communicate with each other and deal with staff, and technical skill is the ability to do the work. You will see as we move throughout the quadrants, conceptual skills are needed more at top management, less at middle, and even lower at lower level management. Interpersonal skills are needed within a reasonable amount at top management, but majority at middle management and about the same with lower. And then technical skills is needed very little with top, a little bit with middle management, but most with lower management. So dominant skills with top management is conceptual, dominant skill with middle management is interpersonal, and dominant skill with lower management is technical. Okay, because they do the actual work on the floor. Middle management provides that interpersonal role between top management and lower management, and top management sets the goals for the organization. You're going to find a tool that creates this infographic but links it to your business, right? You've got to choose an industry of your choice and create this infographic. So, for example, if you choose motor industry, then you're going to speak about what type of conceptual skills will a top manager in the motor industry need. What type of interpersonal skills do they need? What type of technical skills do they need? And you're going to go down the way. Question 4 has a scenario, and then it asks you as operations manager to apply the management by objectives process to improve the weekly yield of kale and spinach from our 5 farm units. Each MBO step define a specific action or outcome and briefly justify it. Include a 150-word reflection on the MBO process. Right. Just before I get into that, just a note for question 3, you're going to read over learning unit. Right. Question 4, you will have to read over learning unit 5. Okay, so this is the management by objective steps. There's 6 steps of that. And you have to now link it to this company. So define specific action or outcome for each step, right? So for example, setting individual objectives and plans, the manager and employee jointly review the organization's vision and mission statement. This guides the setting of individual objectives. So if this is for farming operation, you as the operation manager needs to improve the weekly yield of kale and spinach from our 5 farm units. How would you then apply that to step 1? So for instance, it would be um, to ensure that firstly we've started the process of ensuring we have the land, the plants, or we started ensuring that we do regular checks or increase our watering process. Whatever you choose, it must be carried through with you from step one to step. Okay. Once you've done with your assignment, please check your references and submit through Turnitin. What I do want to say to you, please follow a 3-step process with your assignment. First, you read what's required. Go to your textbook as your first source, and you look at that's your groundwork. You then start researching academic sources. That gives you additional theory. And then you start to apply it to your scenario or your case study. Always make sure that you define what they've asking you to do. You explain it, which means you provide sufficient theory to back it up. And then the third step is to provide practical application to the case studies or the scenario or whatever you are doing. If you provide just the practical application with no theory, you're going to lose marks. If you apply the theory with no practical application, you're going to lose sufficient marks. So follow those 3 steps. Make sure that you have credible resources, sources that you referenced. So no Wikipedia, no sort of websites where people blogs or anybody can edit it, right? If you're using for your question 3, make sure that you're using reputable websites, articles that are generated from newsworthy resources, and not blogs or opinion pieces. Okay. I wish you the best of luck. As usual, you know that you're welcome to contact me should you need any assistance.